they started asking me about A-gap power, and I just flat out said, if we're just going to dabble in it, let's not do it. Because the play, it's not a play. Some people go, well, it's a scheme. It's not a scheme, it's a lifestyle. And my objective through the course of the first 100 days was, with all these different personalities, to establish one mentality. And that's to play with physicality, to be the hammer, not the nail. To be the most connected group in college football. My wife and I, when we were in Detroit, on Saturdays, you have a little bit of time in the NFL as a coach in the afternoon, and we'd find ourselves watching the Cyclone football games. And there was one day, and we're just kind of looking at it, like, we missed that. I delivered the newspaper every other day. Me and my brother switched off and on, and my dad did it every single day. The toughness that you need to have to do that in North Dakota, in Fargo, North Dakota, in West Fargo, North Dakota, in January, February, December, to climb through snowbanks to deliver the newspaper. That's where, like, you figure out who you are. You could throw us all in a trailer in the parking lot and we can go win a bunch of games, right? Because it's the right people together. But then you throw, like, the wrong people in, like, $100 million building, like, you're not going to get the same positive results that you're going to want.
Today's guest on the Left Hash Call is a true football guy. He was an All-American running back at North Dakota State, ran for over 2,500 yards, and helped build one of the most dominant dynasties in college football history, winning 7 FCS National Championships as a coach, including 2 as the Bison's offensive coordinator. After helping Iowa State's run game take a major step in 2024 under Coach Campbell, he spent another year under another Coach Campbell with the Detroit Lions, and now he is back in Ames, this time with the keys to the Cyclones offense, and now in the Jimmy Rogers era. The offensive coordinator at Iowa State University, Coach Tyler Roehl. What's going on, man?
That was unbelievable. I appreciate that.
Of course, you deserve it. You are the type of guy that deserves, like, the big WWE entrance style deal. Like, just the way that you operate, you deserve that. 1,000%.
I appreciate that. Was big time right there. Big time.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I want to go back to, a couple of months ago now, when it's time to say, hey, I want to return to Iowa State. Everybody has left somewhere, and it's not very often that they come back, but it feels like it had to have been a really unique opportunity with Coach Rogers, but also just Ames and Iowa State as a whole must be a pretty special place to want to come back to a place like this.
Yeah, for me in 2024, like, initially coming here, the vision that Matt had, my opportunity here with this staff, what Coach Pauly had to say about the staff, the place, the community, me living through what an unbelievable season in which we had in 2024, my family being here, like, the love that we had for the community, the people, seeing the resources and support that this place has, leaving for the year, then at the culmination of my year with the Lions, having conversation with Jimmy and him kind of telling me what his vision is, and my relationship with him, and knowing him, and understanding who he is as an individual, and always having the utmost respect for him and how competitive that he is, and kind of, handing the reins of the offense over to me and this unbelievable staff that we've been able to put together. It was easy. Like, there is so much conviction in what this place has been, but can be. And to come back, like, it's not to come back and, hey, we're going to do this year and see what happens. No, this was a long-term decision. And again, it comes down to the conviction in what this place, there's a strong foundation. Like, make no mistake about it, what Matt, his staff did here, the foundation that has been laid, what they were able to do was unbelievable. But for me, and how competitive I am, how competitive this staff is, like, the championship level urgency that we have every single day to be on a mission to do things better than it's ever been done before here, that's why we do this. And to do it with the right people. That's what's so exciting. So to come back, like my wife and I, when we were in Detroit, on Saturdays, you have a little bit of time in the NFL as a coach in the afternoon, and we'd find ourselves watching the Cyclone football games. And there was one day, and we were just kind of looking at it, like, we missed that, you know? And you never know if you're going to have the opportunity again. So grateful to be back here because this place means a lot to us.
It's so cool to see. And man, you just get me fired up. Like I see why players, and specifically the running backs that year that you were here, I see why they play so hard. And I think it's a direct representation of who you are as a person. I'm wondering, like, when you hear your career laid out like that, you know, all of the success and growing up in West Fargo, is there something that sticks out to you above the rest? Not that one experience is better or worse, but what do you think of when you think about your career laid up to this point?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't get a chance to, like, just sit back and reflect a lot. Like, honestly, all the you know, I'm saying this humbly, but the championships that I've been grateful to be a part of, the national championships, and to be a part of 7 of them, like, I don't know if I've put those rings on really at all. And just to reflect and look back, and like the vision that comes back to my mind is just the people that I've been able to do it with, and, you know, the support that, you know, my wife and kids have given me to pursue what I want to pursue professionally, you know? So, you know, just the time at North Dakota State, right? Very special. And how much I learned, and the people that I was able to learn with, learn from. I mean, some of the major people in college football, in football in general. You know, you look at, like, who I was recruited by, and Gus Bradley. You know, and Gus Bradley was an NFL head coach.
Yeah.
And, you know, a part of, like, him, his demeanor, his contagious energy, like, that's how in which I want to coach and show up every day. You know, position coaches like Steve Lockway, Tim Polasek, head coaches that, you know, I played for Craig Bull, who's now the AFCA president, you know, and then to be able to coach under Chris Kleiman, Matt Entz. I mean, unbelievable coaches, but unbelievable people. And that time was very special to me. But to have one moment or time period that sets itself apart from another, that is so hard.
Yeah.
I guess you work your tail off to be the best person and coach you can be for the people that you're with, and you know, you honestly just take it day by day.
Yeah, it's fun to hear you talk about that, because, you know, we talk about in that span right there, you talk about people in this profession for however long, you talk about the rings for 2 seconds. Yeah. And I feel like as you know, I'm only 26, but being around coaches, like, man, that is totally like what this thing is all about. It's not really ever been about that. Doesn't seem like it's ever been about that for you, but it is certainly fun to be a part of those championship teams and that success. But the people that you're impacted by, it's an entirely different, that's why you do it.
Yeah. And, like, honestly, you could have us all, right? You could have the staffs that I've been a part of and have learned from, grown with. You could throw us all in a trailer in the parking lot, and we can go win a bunch of games, yeah, right? Because it's the right people together. But then you throw, like, the wrong people in, like, $100 million building, like, you're not going to get the same positive results that you're going to want. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you win with people, and you win with the right people, and you get the right people on the bus, pulling the rope in the same direction, on the same mission, with the same values. Like, that's where special things can truly happen.
Man. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to get through this without just, like, jumping directly off of this and trying to run onto that field right now, because I just love the way you're about this, man. Growing up in West Fargo and right next to North Dakota State, when you're a good ball player in Fargo, is it like, man, it's just a matter of time before I end up in North Dakota State? Or how did that all kind of shake out back then?
Honestly, just quick story. Like, I loved football growing up. Like, and my brother was probably always a little bit better athlete. Like, he was always faster. And there was one day in second grade. I was in second grade. They were in fourth grade, and we were at practice, and he had a teammate who was fed up with, I don't know what was going on. I mean, it's fourth grade football. How can you be upset? And throws off all his equipment, and he leaves his equipment sitting right there on the field. So what does second grade me do? Well, I go grab all the equipment, I put it on. And I just kind of sneak my way into all the drills, and I'm playing ball. But like the love for the competitiveness, but for me, I think it was always like the physical nature, being able to play with physicality. And, I was really little brother, and I wanted to go and compete and prove like, hey, I belong, and kind of had a chip on my shoulder and an edge to compete with. So, no, I think going back to your original question, like, are you always wanting to play Bison football? Yeah, but my recruiting was a little bit different. And North Dakota State was leaving Division II and going to FCS. And there was a lot of change, right? You kind of had no idea what was going to happen. Had opportunity at the University of North Dakota. Minnesota told me I was, too slow, too short, too small, what have you, to play linebacker, running back.
Bet that felt really good a couple years later to run through their faces.
It did. And then, then North Dakota State hires Craig Bohl, and, I think it was after my first game of my senior season, they offered me a full scholarship. And I don't think it took me but 3 days, to say I'm all in. And really it was at fullback. But the ability to be a fullback kind of grow into a tailback, and other schools it was linebacker. But for me, it's like you're looking at this holistically now. Like, my decision even to come here, there's so much change. Kind of new landscape, new environment. Like, why'd I go to North Dakota State? I wanted to be a part of something really special, leave a legacy, be able to do it with unbelievable people. Why did I come here? I mean, we're going through a lot of change. Change can be really good too. And to do it with unbelievable people, to be on the same mission. I mean, I look back at that, and it's just, there's so many parallels to the reasons and why you go to certain places at certain times, and being able to choose to go to NDSU and play there is, shoot, I'd do it all over again. I mean, the guys that I went in there with, and the memories, like bridging the gap between Division II, because the history of North Dakota State football, even in Division II, it's a powerhouse. Yeah. And to bridge really that gap for guys who didn't have the opportunity to go to the playoffs because we were on the probation. So, we were just going and, through Coach Bohl's vision, going in there and kind of laying a foundation, and, being a part of a new chapter of what Bison football was going to be. And, I think it was 16 of us that were part of Coach Bohl's first recruiting class, and to go in and work our tails off. 2006, you beat Central Michigan, who was the MAC champs that year. We lost to Minnesota on a blocked field goal. 2007, we beat Central Michigan. And then we also beat Minnesota. Went 10-1-6, 10-1-7. It just, when you're in Fargo, North Dakota, I mean, what has now grown into what Bison football is, pretty dang special. And to be a part of like the group of guys, this recruiting class, the recruiting class before, our class, like, you had some unbelievable players. And it's only gotten better. Like, if you become a really special player at North Dakota State, you soon become forgotten because there's always like the next really good player.
Yeah, it's like Easton Stick has an unbelievable career, and then it's like Trey Lance comes in. You're like, oh my gosh. Like, then Cam Miller has another unbelievable. It's
to then Cole Payton. I mean, it's just
it's like keeps going. Like, I'm sure like in 10 years it'll feel the same way.
Yeah.
Even making the jump to FBS now. Like you still, it's like, man, I bet a lot of people probably felt how people are talking now about, well, it's not FCS, but it still wasn't Division II. And then now it's like, it feels like there's, no matter where North Dakota State is, there's that foundation, there's those people that are there that'll always make it what it is.
Yeah, and the vision that Gene Taylor had, who's the athletic director at the time, Craig Bowl, that staff, like, talk about being on a mission. The way in which we prepared, practiced, I mean, we were ready for whoever, whenever. Shoot, we would have played on a parking lot, and that was the mentality. And I think you've seen like people who have now left North Dakota State to go coach other places, and the impact that they've been able to have at their respective places. I mean, it's just, hats off to what we all learned and did in Fargo, North Dakota.
I was listening to a podcast. Yogi Roth is his name. He works with the Elite 11, and he was talking to the Washington head coach about a question that they always ask the Elite 11 quarterbacks when they go there. And he basically said to describe what your dinner table looked like growing up. And some of the quarterbacks would say, well, we didn't have a dinner table. We ate on the floor, we ate on the couch, or some kids were like, man, I had cousins and grandparents always there all the time. And I'm wondering if you would describe what your dinner table looked like growing up.
Oh, man. Very simple. We were simple people, hot dishes, and, whether it be sandwiches. My dad may grill a little bit, but it was simple. And, we were very active. I remember being outside all the time. My dad would be in the garage working on whatever wood projects he was working on just to make a couple extra dollars for us. And, whether it was 30 below and a blizzard outside, we were probably outside making a snow fort or something. And simple people would go in quick, eat as much as I could, as fast as I could, just so I could get back out and play with my friends.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
But no, I mean, just, unbelievable support from them, and, just the manner in which we grew up and were raised. And, not a lot of people probably know this, but, the toughness that you need to like have intrinsically to wake up every single day at, let's say it was 4:45 or 5 a.m. to deliver the newspaper. Like I did that from third grade up until my house burned down when I was growing up. And I think it was my sophomore year of high school. And I delivered the newspaper every other day. Me and my brother switched off and on, and my dad did it every single day. But the toughness that you need to have to do that in North Dakota, in Fargo, North Dakota, in West Fargo, North Dakota, in January, February, December, to climb through snowbanks to deliver the newspaper, like that's where like you figure out who you are, and you might be on the other block and your dad's on the other block, and you're just kind of trudging through by yourself with your own thoughts at a young age, like delivering the newspaper, because that's what you had to do. And I learned a ton. About myself. So I, like, probably not at the time, didn't appreciate like having to go through that. But now that I can look back and know that like that helped forged and build like a good portion of who I am, shoot, unbelievable.
That is unfreaking believable. It makes so much sense knowing who you are now. It's like, man, the toughest guy did the toughest things growing up, and you hear that saying, "Oh, tough people do tough things." And I'm wondering for you, when coaching started to come into your brain, was that always kind of the plan, or was it when you were playing you started seeing things a little bit differently, or when did you know you wanted to be a coach?
Plan A was always a play, and I kind of always said, screw plan B. I'm I'm going to play as long as
Yeah.
I can. And, you know, as you get, probably your junior year and senior year of playing in college, maybe a little bit more accelerated now, but just like to see the whole picture offensively. Like, that's where you start to kind of really get in the X's and O's. And like, I would always sit and draw plays from the time I was little, right? I would always sit and draw plays or doodle. But I probably really didn't put coaching on the map until I was truly done playing. I would help out in the summers with our youth camp at NDSU and what have you, and do some things like that, but not until I was done playing. And honestly, I did a orthopedic pieces interview, and it was going in the direction that I may get that job. But like halfway through that interview, I was like, I can't do this. This isn't for me. Like, I need to be a part of football. I need to make a difference in young people's lives. I need to give back to the sport of football that, you know, I have benefited so much about. And I need to give my knowledge, my wisdom, the things that I have learned to other people. So halfway through that interview, in my mind, I was like, I can't do this. So I went and took $4,000 and started coaching football.
Yeah.
For my very first job, I made about $4,000, and I don't know. I just, you know, potentially going to make six figures doing that to then coaching football. People may go, well, how hard was that? It really wasn't that hard, you know, because of the joy and genuine appreciation I had for that opportunity to go and coach football.
Yeah, that people on the outside would probably think you're nuts, right, for that, and people did call you nuts for that. Maybe they didn't understand what you were all about. But that first coaching job was at Concordia College in Minnesota, correct? Yep. What do you remember about that first job that maybe you still think about today?
Oh man, God bless Coach Rand for giving me the opportunity and probably putting up with me. You know, we were triple option. Here's what I do know: first play call was a touchdown. We were up in Bottineau, North Dakota, and
that is awesome.
A former player, teammate of mine from North Dakota State, Alex Belquist, and I are driving up on this bus with, you know, a whole crew of young, probably more freshmen than anything, that were just starting kind of their collegiate careers at Concordia, and man, we were right next to like this rodeo area. And the wind was blowing in such a manner that it didn't smell very good on the football field. Like, I don't know what, like the horse stables or what have you. And I'm out there, I'm like, okay, what did I get myself into? But as you kind of get going, like, you're having some of the most fun that you could have. And no, it was a halfback toss pass for a touchdown.
First play? I love that.
Yeah, right down our sidelines. Pretty cool. I think I thought of that as we were driving up to the game. Like, now you're like planning that for an entire week, and we're on the bus. I'm like, I'm just going to start off with this.
Yeah.
So, no, I learned a ton, just more of like my approach, right? And being able to set up like a game board and what have you, and is like, to look back at that now to compare to where it is, I mean, just learned, and very appreciative for that opportunity. The
opportunity to then go back to North Dakota State as a GA, was that a pretty cool opportunity for you to be on that staff and see that side? Because now, I mean, once you wrap up your time at NDSU, you'd seen it from every angle, as a young coach, as a player that first entered the program. Like, what do you remember about that first year at North Dakota State as a GA versus maybe what you remember it as a player?
Yeah, the interview process was very short. It might have been about 5 minutes with Coach Bull, and it was actually, I was coaching I was the running backs coach and the GA. So, like, you know, you've got, and I don't know who I was talking with the other day, but like, you've got all these QCs and GAs now, and it was just me, you know? So I'm breaking down the film, and I'm getting like cards ready, and I'm doing everything. But then I'm a position coach too.
Yeah.
And I'm helping on special teams and helping running camps, and but Coach Bull was like, "You're young, you don't know anything, you're gonna learn. And if you're asked a question, answer it. And that was unbelievable advice. People go, that was unbelievable. Because I didn't know anything. I had no idea. And for me to just sit, to learn from the people in that room, to be able to go through and, maybe throw an idea here and there, but more just be a sponge. And, it was one of the first years in NDSU, the Division I era, where we had 2 1,000-yard backs. It was our first national championship. So learned a ton, learned an absolute ton. And that was, I was grateful for that opportunity as well.
When you go to become the offensive coordinator, there's obviously been, at that point, 5 national titles. When it's time for you to become the offensive coordinator, did you feel a certain amount of pressure to put out an offense that holds up to that standard, or what do you remember about taking on that opportunity? As far as, hey, there's things that I've always known that I wanted to do here. What did that look like when you first got the keys to that offense?
Pressure, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, geez.
I can't imagine there would be.
If you didn't win by 3 touchdowns, you're wrong. But no, honestly, I was like so ready because I had always kind of put myself in those shoes. Being able to learn from Brent Vegan, who's done an unbelievable job with, his time being a coordinator, now head coach at Montana State. Tim Polasek, who's now the head coach at North Dakota State, to Courtney Messingham, who ended up going with Coach Kleiman to Kansas State, and learning kind of how each one of those individuals' game plans, how they set up a game plan, what they want to do, how they're going to attack the defense, and then kind of always put myself, well, how would I do it? What would I do? And then in 19, kind of bringing in really some outside people to the staff, because it always kind of been North Dakota State people, and bringing in, AJ Blazek, Dan Larson, and Noah Pauley, and then having Randy Hedberg there with me. Being able to collectively, the offense didn't change a lot, but, took out some things that I didn't want to do, added a couple other things, and, wanted to put together, obviously, an offense that, the North Dakota State, alumni and fans could be proud of, but one that, I wanted to play with a level of physicality. In 17 and 18, we had unbelievable athletes, especially with Easton running everything. And then turning the page and having a really young quarterback, redshirt freshman in Trey Lance. And we had an unbelievable offensive line, tight ends and fullbacks, running backs, good receivers. Like, how are we going to go win games? Well, let's go and run the football. Let's grow this pass game through the course of 2019. Especially, let's not put Trey into known passing situations if we don't have to. Let's take easy, efficient completions. And the way we grew that pass game over the course of that season, from game 1 to the national championship, I mean, each and every week we just add a little bit more and add a little bit more and put a little bit more on his plate. And he knocked it out of the ballpark. Like, that was his year that he did not throw an interception. And pressure, yes, but so much joy. The trust that we were able to have as a staff, what we were able to put in together, the energy that we were able to contagiously affect our unit with. But why is NDSU successful? It's not me. It's not the head coaches. It's a player-led program. And the leadership that we had, especially in 2019, I mean, was unbelievable. So, no, I was more like excited for the opportunity to finally call plays, and for it to transpire in the way that it did. I mean, so much joy, and I guess you learn even a little bit more about yourself with each and every call, each and every game, to work to be the best that you can for the guys.
It's funny as we were kind of going through the quarterbacks, talk about Easton, and then it's wild that I didn't even say Carson Wentz. Like but that is the lineage of quarterbacks. Like I played against Cam Miller in high school, and he was Tyler Linderbaum was his center.
Yeah.
And it's safe to say it did not go very well for myself, but those two running the show, and that was even when Cam was a sophomore. And then you talk about Trey, who I believe is now with the Chargers and still doing it. But when you're looking at high school quarterbacks, I think there's a misconception that we're just going to take transfers. And I know that's certainly not the way that you like to do things, but what are you looking for in a high school quarterback that you think, yeah, that could translate to what we're trying to do, whether it's here, whether it's when you were at North Dakota State?
Yeah. You can always turn on the film and see a kid throw the ball, right? And obviously you're looking at all of that accuracy, arm strength, velocity, all that delivery, arm angle, his poise in the pocket, all that. I like to have multi-sport athletes. Someone who has the ability to run the ball. Is that an end-all, be-all? No. But you want a quarterback who's not just going to be a statue back there. One who can extend plays, especially if it's broken down. Does he have to be a 4-4 guy? No. But the biggest thing that I look for, as you're doing your research and talking to the coach or the counselor or whoever at the school and looking at transcript and, someone who is low ego, who's about the team, not like a me guy. Hey, look at me. Someone who's of high capacity. I want a smart football player. I think the word process is huge. You need to be able to process. And it's in like watching the quarterback documentary on Netflix, like all of the information that needs to happen at such a fast rate from the time that the play is done to getting in a new personnel grouping to getting the play call or looking at a wristband or looking at a sideline, whatever it may be, to then, okay, this is the play call, to communicating that to the huddle, to making sure you've got, the right people in the huddle, to then breaking the huddle, then to operate a shift, to trade a motion, the timing of the motion, understanding maybe what the coverage is if it's a pass play, being able to cut the field in half or who you're keying based off a full field progression, setting a protection, changing a protection, and then all of the protocol that needs to happen, maybe a check at the line of scrimmage. So processing, you need to have an individual who can process, who's got poise, who's got charisma, who's of high character, who the locker room can gravitate towards. That's huge. Mm-hmm. So looking at, okay, like at the transcript, like what are the tardies? If he's like tardy 20 times in a semester, like if this guy's late for his classes, like how is he going to show up to our building? Absences, like then you can look at the grades and you want a high IQ individual. All that plays into effect. But then if you're able to to go and maybe watch a game, right? The things that you can't see on the highlight film, like how is he between series? What's he doing up and down the sideline? Shoot, he may be playing defense, which is okay as well. But how is he affecting that team? Maybe he's working out with his team. Is he just kind of to himself? Or is he running the whole show and the coach is just kind of standing back and letting him run the whole show and he's directing everything? Because that's leadership. And yes, we can work to direct and guide a player to lead. But a lot of that just, they've got it. And again, on top of just being able to sit and throw a ball, there's so much more than that. And to have, someone who's of low ego, high capacity, one you can trust, someone who's, not going to be outworked, that's huge. I think a whole evaluation. And that was our plan of attack at North Dakota State. That's our plan of attack here. And it doesn't have to be a 5-star guy. It has to be the right fit for us.
Mm-hmm. When you first get to Iowa State in 2024, I remember, obviously we knew all what you were about, but we were at one of the practices and, you get under center in a very specific formation, and we all were like, A-gap power's coming, A-gap power's coming. And just seeing like your thumbprint on Iowa State offense with also collaborating with Coach Mauser. What was that experience like, and what was that collaboration like with him on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like his brain and how he's wired, and for him, for Matt, the entire staff to like be open arms into like, how do you see it? What would you do? That was Mouse's first year calling plays in 24. He did an unbelievable job. He's got a bright future. And, for that staff with Ryan Clanton, who did a great job with the O-line, Jake Waters, Paulie, myself, Mouse, like how collaborative we were to put everything together. They had an unbelievable foundation here again. And just to take a couple things from what I had success with at North Dakota State. And like they started asking me about A-gap power, and I just flat out said, if we're just going to dabble in it, let's not do it. Because the play, it's not a play. Some people go, well, it's a scheme. It's not a scheme. It's a lifestyle. And you need to truly embody it. Everything, can revolve around it, but it doesn't need to. So, no, we added a couple things, and I think our working relationship, friendship, connection, trust within each other, we all work together really, really well. And that's why you had a special year in 24 and win 11 games and beat Miami in the bowl game. Like, the most connected teams right now in college football win. The most connected staffs, that's where you're going to develop trust within the team, have positive energy, create the right mindset, and I appreciate, them for like allowing me to share, some of my ideas and thoughts and how I want to attack defenses.
If you were a chef at a 5-star restaurant and A-gap power was on the menu, what would be the ingredients with that meal or that play? And then also, what's the recipe behind putting that whole thing together?
It's a great question.
Comparing food to A-gap power seems like the right
It's probably two of my favorite things, though, in the entire world, besides my wife and kids and family, Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind, like, I'm looking at my spot where I'm sitting at the table, right? And got a big, tall glass of lemonade. Okay, here comes this plate, right? You got a cheeseburger. It might even be a double cheeseburger. Lettuce, tomato, pickle, and French fries. And why I say that is, like, it's an unbelievably consistent yet powerful meal that won't fail you. It's reliable. It can knock it out of the park at any play. You know what's coming. It's going to be good. Like, Charlie Kohler had a great quote. Like, football is special because, like, through the course of a game, you might get to 4 minutes. The clock's going down. You got to convert a first down to keep the play going. Everyone knows you're running it. The offense knows you're running it. The defense knows you're running it. The OC knows he's going to call it. The DC knows the OC's going to call it. Shoot, your wife may know that you're calling it. Like, you got to try to stop it. And I don't know, I just see an unbelievably consistent, delicious meal that won't fail you.
There's a lot of like offensive linemen like Twitter pages out there. When I clip this and put it out, they're gonna get fired up about this. I can already tell. That is unbelievable. When you then go and work for Coach Campbell with the Lions, why was that opportunity so appealing to you? And also, what was it like being around that staff and being around Coach Campbell every day? Man,
special. Why was that the right opportunity? I just saw myself fitting there. It's about fit. It's about people. And like for Dan to be like an offensive guy, but not just an offensive guy, a tight ends guy to entrust in me to coach his tight ends, like, what an honor for like someone who I like look to in the coaching ranks, still do. I mean, I learned so much from him. And, you know, for me to go in there to have impact, to, you know, establish the connection, trust within those tight ends to help them play to a level that you know, they desired to get to and I wanted to get them to. Because there were a couple other NFL opportunities. And, you know, as we were like deciding like which one do we go do, and like my heart just always went to like what Dan stood for, what Dan was about, that place, what that place was about, the foundation in which they had had success, to go and learn from, you know, the other people on that staff. John Morton was the OC. David Shaw was there. David Shaw's first day, he comes up to me, you know, he's like, I may be the pass game coordinator, but I want to run the football. Yeah. And the way in which you guys did it at North Dakota State, the way in which we did it at Stanford, how beautiful is that? To Mark Brunell, Hank Fraley was unbelievable to me. You know, just the game planning aspects of attacking defenses at the NFL level. Scotty Montgomery, Tashard Choice, that whole crew. I know I'm leaving someone out, but I learned so much. And, you know, a few of just the things that like are going to continue to help me, like Chris Spielman, like an all-time great linebacker, who's in the front office, and like his 2 words, never compromise. And never compromise the standard for anything, for anybody, anywhere. Like, how unbelievable is that? Like, just to live by like that mentality. Like, the standard is the standard. Never compromise for anybody, for anything. Like, hold yourself to the standard. And like for Dan's approach, how consistent, genuine, like demanding in his own way. Like, he's a guy I just did not want to let down. I did not want to let down. Worked my tail off to have those tight ends play their best football of their career. And they were having an unbelievable year. You know, and obviously injury happens, but learned a ton. Just different aspects of offensive football that I hadn't really been a part of, and learned, you know, just different techniques from a tight end standpoint that are just only going to help me as I continue to go through my career.
Speaking of Dan's, Mr. Casey obviously could not be here today, but he sent over a video to ask a quick question for you here.
All right, so you had a ton of success in North Dakota State calling plays, and I'd be interested to hear your perspective on going from a play calling role and then stepping outside of that, coaching running backs at Iowa State and then with the Detroit Lions. You've had these experiences. You've been with other play callers, other offensive minds. How do you blend some of the things you've learned in recent years into your system, but still lean on some of the things that you've done so well in years past?
What an unbelievable question.
He's unbelievable, isn't he?
You know, being able to take a step back from coordinating to not calling plays, it can be challenging, but I knew what I was getting into. At times, like, you got to bite your tongue and allow the leadership of the room to kind of take over and guide itself the direction that it needed to, and maybe you have to kind of help kind of navigate that communication and that conversation. But just being a sponge and learning how other people do it and can do it, because you may think you're right and you may think you're the best, but you can always learn. Coach Bowl always used to say, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and dying. Continue to grow. And I always carried that with me. But like the blending of offenses, right? Like being at the places that I've been now, North Dakota State, Iowa State, the Detroit Lions, and then coming into this role, how's that going to look? How do you put it all together? At the end of the day, it's easy. What do you have conviction in? What do you have the utmost belief in? If a coach on our staff is presenting something, I'm just going to keep pressing the button until like he either folds, right? Or he just pounds the table and says, I am convicted in this. Awesome. Let's install it. You know, because you have that much belief in what the scheme is. So you have to have the conviction in the scheme, how to teach it, to be able to implement it and then install it to the players so they have belief, right? And then coming into a new place, like, how are you, because like the offensive philosophy comes down to a mentality of attack, right? And change, right? So many different faces in the room with our offense and all these different personalities. At the end of the day, my objective through the course of the first 100 days was, with all these different personalities, to establish one mentality, and that's to play with physicality, to be the hammer, not the nail, to be the most connected group in college football. And that's what we're working towards, and that's what's been fun, and with this transition, with this growth, and that's what we're pushing for.
Last segment here before we get you out of here. This is just a quick hits segment. You can expand as much or as little as you would like to. If you were showing, first one here, if you were showing your offense any movie of how you wanted them to play football, what movie would it be?
Remember the Titans?
Oh, Remember the Titans. There you go. The connected group, how connected that team was. Yeah.
I would say like you're getting a whole group of people together to be on a mission, right? Mm-hmm. And remember the Titans, like that group of people together to connect, to trust, and to grow together. Like, how special is that? That's pretty cool.
Love that.
Like, I could have thought of something like violent and whatnot, but I don't know. That's
300.
That's what came to mind.
No, that's good. I love that. Who's one coach, past or present, that you'd love to sit down and talk ball with for an hour?
Sean McVay. I just like
love that.
With like, he's 5 days older than I, but like his like how he's been able to activate certain things for certain defenses and game plan and utilize personnel groupings from 11 to 13 and bouncing in and out, and how you're attacking a nickel defense to a base defense.
Yeah.
And, I'm enamored with how he, but it's more than even just the calling of plays. It's running the team, and being able to sit and listen to podcasts and just learn from one of the greats. I think he does an unbelievable job. And I was very fortunate to be with Dan. Like, Dan's very special to me and my growth. But another one would be Sean McVay.
If your offense was a band or an artist, who would it be?
Luke Combs. That's easy.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good one.
That's
cool. I like that.
You got like hit you right in the face music. And then you also got like, the like the college, like kind of vibe.
Yeah, Beer Never Broke My Heart.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's easy. I'm having Luke Combs. He was just out here.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And he did an unbelievable job. So I'm taking Luke Combs.
I love that. Last question before you hear. What's one piece of advice you would give to the next generation of coaches?
Be a sponge. Like, just continue to work your tail off for what you want, but always invest in the people around you. Learn from the people around you. You don't need to go chase. Like, just grow where you're at. Be where your feet are. And good things will happen. Like, you continue to invest your time, your effort, your energy into your role. Own your role. Create value for yourself. Add value to others. There's no job that's too big or too small for you. Like, this may be your job description, but if you're asked to go take out the trash, just take out the trash. If it's to run the camps. Shoot, I ran our camps at North Dakota State for 5 or 6 years. I learned so much about organization, communication, detailing a schedule out, getting all facets of a university campus in alignment to put on these camps where it was like 3,000 kids a summer, and like just truly grow where you're at with whatever roles you're given. Be convicted in who you are. Be you. Don't be anyone else. Be you. I'm going to go in that room and I'm going to, talk about grit, conviction, physicality, cutting it loose, never playing careful, squeezing your knees, breathing through your eyes, coming off the ball with velocity. That's me. And I'm going to be authentically, genuinely me. Because if you're going up there and you're trying to be someone else, you're just going to be fake to the whole team. So, no, I just be you, do your job really well. Just do your job really, really well, and good things will happen.
Well, I can't tell you how excited I am for you in this next era of Iowa State football. Being someone that grew up in the state, went to games out here as a kid, I can't tell you how excited I am for you and this team going forward, and I can't thank you enough for your time today.
This was great. Your excitement, shoot, I'm about 5 times that. I can't wait to get going. Like, this group is hungry. They're on a mission. And again, I don't know if we're going to win a game, 2 games, but I do know that these kids are going to play hard with physicality. And right now, that's all I can ask for. And I'm excited for our growth, continued growth as we work to the fall of 26 here. And appreciate what you do for college football.
Of course.
And you and Dan and everything that you guys do, it's you're spreading the message and you're doing it the right way. So I appreciate you guys.